Years after Neo's sacrifice saving humanity and Zion, something strange is brewing in the Matrix and out. This is my review of The Matrix Resurrections. Plagued by strange memories, Mr. Anderson looks to find out if his reality is a mere construct, and he will have to choose to follow the White Rabbit once more. Before I properly start with my review for The Matrix Resurrections, I want to know your thoughts on this film, on the whole trilogy, now quadrilogy apparently, anything and everything down there in the comments below. Just start the conversation, because that is always the most important part. And while you're down there, make sure you click the subscribe button, because if you like movies and TV, this is the place to be, and so you won't miss any future conversation on your favorite movies and TV. Before I get going on this one, I should let you know my thoughts on the trilogy as a whole. Prepare those dislike buttons. The first one is a classic. I'm not going to tell you anything that you haven't heard before from anyone else. I like Revolutions more than Reloaded. I think Reloaded is an abomination of a waste of time that doesn't deliver anything new, and it just beats you over the head with its message and its discussion about predestination or fate versus predetermined. It's a mess of a film. Revolutions is at least fun in some regard. So I walk into this film not excited, because I have not enjoyed the Wachowski film ever since the original Matrix. Not a single one. And what I will say for The Matrix Resurrections is that this is a lavish production in every technical aspect. The soundscape of this film is sensational. The score is masterful. It has gorgeous visual. This is one of the most interesting looking films of the year. It keeps with that visual identity from the previous films and enhances it naturally for the world nowadays. I also found the action exhilarating on a visual aspect. Even if not creative or original like the original was, that's more commentary on the environment that we have nowadays. That so many people were inspired by that first Matrix that they're now doing their own original takes on action. And so it doesn't allow this one to stand out, but it's nevertheless visually appealing, from the big explosions to the really awesome wire work that it is obviously a callback to the originals. And whenever you have one-on-one martial arts action sequences, that is great stuff that I really appreciate looking at. And it also has an incredibly intriguing first third. The first third of this film, I was hooked and I was interested to see what the entire film was going to do, because apart from like the opening scene proper, then we cut to Keanu Reeves playing Thomas Anderson. It's more akin to something like 12 Monkeys or Adaptation. It's something that discusses all these interesting philosophical existential ideas where you're with this character observing the strangeness of the world, but you question, really, alongside him, what is real and what is not. And the film does a great case for both sides. Is this life that he is living real, or is he inside the Matrix right now? And the film does something really interesting with its world, where the first 3 films apparently are a video game, and that's just a starting point. And so you observe this character looking back at the game, and how it visually uses the game for callbacks and whatnot for the previous film. It gets over-exaggerated, not just in the first third, but in the whole film. But that first third, where you're just sitting with Neo, and you're just wondering, is it real? Was it real? What is this now? Is it the Matrix, or is this real life? And is this all an illusion? Where he's with his analyst, with his psychiatrist, played by Neil Patrick Harris, brilliantly. That was awesome to see. And I was extremely intrigued to where the film was going to go with it. Where it also helps is its self-awareness, that soon enough does get overplayed and played out real soon, especially when they play it for comedy. It's awful. But when they play it for drama, to help the story, to connect with the characters, that's interesting. I also think everyone does a great job. Keanu Reeves is awesome, and he's playing this character on another level for the most part, so I really enjoy seeing that evolution, the evolution on the performance. The film also does a great job at the world building. The world building of this is sensational. It does such a good job at bringing you back into both worlds of the Matrix and outside of The Matrix. Most of all though, what I got from those qualities that work for me in this film is that this is clearly through and through, from beginning to end, 1000% Lana Wachowski's vision. And I'll always be happy for that. I'll always be happy for the storyteller, for the artist. I'll always be happy that they got to tell the story they wanted, for better or worse. In this case, unfortunately, it's much more for the worst. Because after that, after those interesting concepts are presented, they're explored in the most masturbatory kind of way possible, where you have these clever, smart ideas and concepts. The way they're explored, it's basically the film itself saying, look how smart we are, look how smart we were back then, and look how smart we are bringing this back now. It's so worried about telling you how smart it is, it forgets how to tell a story where you can care for characters and for stakes. There's barely a notion of stakes in this film. There's barely a notion of logic and of story progression. There's barely a sense of forward momentum throughout the entire film. It got frustrating very easy, very fast, to the point where you get the messages, you get what the messages are, and from then on you want to see the messages get explored and developed and furthered, and it just keeps telling you what the messages are. At points it feels like it's more worried about telling you the message rather than conveying those messages through a coherent, comprehensive story that is extremely convoluted. So the film always looks nice. It always looks like the budget was there. Holy shit. The visual effects, some of the visual identity of the film, the way they use mirrors and coming in and out of the Matrix whenever it's not just a cutting to in and out of the Matrix. That is interesting. But the story and the characters who were in the original trilogy, boring as sin, and is one of the things that I can never get past in the original trilogy. They're dead yet again when Keanu Reeves, who's awesome. Who doesn't love Keanu Reeves? I love Keanu Reeves. Don't you raise your hand. You love Keanu Reeves. You're lying to yourself if you say you don't love Keanu Reeves. When he's playing Thomas Anderson, dealing with this doubt inside his mind, what is real, what is not. And then when he plays Neo, it's just more boring, more conventional. It feels more one-dimensional and not nuanced. And so when a film beats me over the head with its message without furthering those interesting themes that it presents in interesting ways, I easily just get bored. And if you know me, you know I very much try to avoid that word for any film, whether I like it or not, but it just feels proper in this one. It just never worked for me. It just never got me hooked, and I was praying for it to end, and it keeps going and going. The Matrix Resurrections is a very pretty looking, incomprehensible, masturbatory celebration of itself. It constantly pats itself on the back, and it doesn't bother itself enough telling a story that I can connect with, that I can care about, and that I find at all compelling. However, that being said, a ton of people are liking this. So those things that just don't work for me, I'm just not geared for these types of stories. Maybe it'll work for you, and I hope it does. I like the first Matrix. I had my fun with Revolutions, and then there's Reloaded, and now this one. Just an absurdly heavy-handed, incoherent mess that, while it pokes fun at the lack of originality and corporately mandated movies, it becomes exactly that in its whole, and there's just no enjoyment or emotion to be taken out of it. I'm giving The Matrix Resurrections a D+. Unfortunately, I really can't get it to a positive C-, but it's as close to that as it can get. But what are your thoughts on The Matrix Resurrections? Anything and everything, drop it down there in the comments below. Hope you enjoy it. Hope you get something out of it that I unfortunately didn't. Anything and everything down there. And don't forget, if you enjoy what you saw here, make sure you click that subscribe button so you do not miss any future conversations on your favorite movies and TV. Thank you so much for watching. You are the best. Stay tuned for many more reviews to come, including Scene 2, Don't Look Up, and all the top 10s coming in at the end of the year. I hope to see you in those, and there's a Hawkeye finale and season review right now up on the channel. And so until the next one, love each other, and love the movies.